Good morning. Good morning. We are honored to talk to you this morning about the action items already underway or ready to begin based on your feedback at the engagement sessions. Today is an opportunity to celebrate the many accomplishments that all of your contributions have made possible. And those of you who have been to this presentation before know that celebration is a major component of the presentation, as is the audience participation. All year long, you've been asking us how we're going to outdo the party hats and noisemakers from last year. In case you missed it, this is what we did last year. We considered a number of options for this year. We thought about hiring a dance team. In fact, those of you who've been to the engagement sessions before know that we have a well-known dance team right here at Stout. And here they are. But with only 45 minutes for the presentation, we didn't think that would be enough time to fit it in. We even thought about bringing in some animals to campus. But those of you who were here back in 2002 when we had the elephant incident learned that we've been banned from bringing animals on campus. So in case you missed it, here's a picture of the elephant running in front of the Voc Rehab building. But what we have for you today is even better. We can't overlook all of the difficult budget times we're going through right now, but with all the accomplishments we have to share with you today, we think our future is so bright that we gotta wear shades. Those of you who would like to join us in wearing shades, there are some shades underneath your chairs. But be forewarned, there's not enough for everyone, and there's limited supply of various options. So we're going to give you a moment right now to find the perfect pair of shades. And if the dance team would like to make an appearance in the next few minutes, we invite them to do so. noticed that nobody got up to start dancing. Not to worry, we have some more opportunities here for you to get the energy going and get involved in the presentation. So we will be reviewing 16 action items with you today. With each one, we'll start with a You Said slide, which provides examples of comments that you submitted during the engagement sessions in 2015. Following that will be a We Did slide, which has examples of actions that we've taken based on that feedback, and then followed by a thank you slide. Every time we get to a thank you slide, we will ask all of the people who helped make that initiative possible to please stand and be recognized. At that point, it's your job to make a lot of noise and show your appreciation in whatever way you feel comfortable. As has become our tradition, we'll start with an opportunity to practice. In the slideshow that you just saw, there were a total of 332 pictures of people in sunglasses. If you were among them, please stand now and be recognized. I'm sharing this presentation today with 3 of my colleagues, Josh, Tim, and Jennifer. All 3 of them have had an active role in the initiatives we will be sharing with you today and have been involved in various teams and committees, Senate, strategic planning group, and so much more. And as you can see, they're also comfortable wearing sunglasses. So thank you, Josh, Tim, and Jennifer. All of the initiatives that we will be reviewing with you today will help us achieve our Focus 2020 goals. So we want to review those with you briefly. The first is to create a supportive environment where all of you want to be. The second is to establish sustained financial viability. The third, to encourage the use of innovative, high-impact, and evidence-based instructional models and practices. Fourth, to increase student participation in applied research, intercultural competence, and applied learning experiences. And fifth, to expand partnerships. In 2015, we kicked off the engagement sessions by gathering in the Great Hall to hear presentations on the proposed 2015 university priorities. After the opening presentations, all faculty and staff were randomly assigned to one of 30 rooms on campus. In each room, we had a facilitated discussion to provide feedback on the proposed priorities. Approximately 550 faculty and staff have attended this event annually. Comments were submitted by each group and posted online. The Park office then does a formal qualitative analysis process to analyze the data and identify themes. As you can see here, the first step is to collect all of your feedback and sticky notes and scatter them all over the floor. But seriously, we use a multi-step process where we type up all of the comments and a team of people independently reviews to identify themes. We reach group consensus on the themes and then code all of the comments into those themes. Once the thematic analysis is complete, it is shared with the strategic planning group and other groups. Potential action steps are identified, and committees and teams are charged to submit proposals. You see pictures of some of the groups and committees that we'll be talking about on the screen. As I mentioned, this presentation summarizes 16 of the action items already underway or ready to begin based on your feedback. They range in scope and some are in the early stages of development. There's additional information about these initiatives out on the Park website. I encourage you to go check it out. So with that, we'll get into our initiatives. The first one is about fundraising. This is one that began based on feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of comments that you submitted to us in 2015. In response, we implemented several action items. First, a new university action plan on fundraising will be added next year. This means that each year, 3 to 5 action items will be identified for campus-wide implementation, and they will be closely monitored by the strategic planning group. Second, in order to increase fundraising efforts, we have increased our staffing in the foundation office. Since July 1st, a full-time stewardship and donor relations coordinator has been added, as has a part-time database assistant. Additionally, 2 vacant positions were filled in 2015. Third, one of the action items recommended by the strategic planning group was to train the campus on how to do fundraising. To help us do that, we invite you to a session tomorrow, January 12th, from 8:30 to 10 in Ballroom C. This session will introduce you to the University Advancement Team and the important role all university faculty and staff play in a successful fundraising initiative. An update will also be provided on pre-campaign planning and what it means for the future. And fourth, we have hired consultants to help us with a comprehensive campaign. To date, we have completed a number of tasks, including a priority setting process with the consultants that resulted in the identification of priorities in 4 areas: learning environment, faculty and academic support, research and outreach, and student success. The next steps will include feasibility study interviews with approximately 35 stakeholders, industry partners, and donors. The final report is expected in April or May of 2016. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Fundraising Comprehensive Campaign Committee, the Foundation Office, and the Strategic Planning Group. Please stand and be recognized. Next, I'll turn it over to Josh Ensminger.
Thank you, Meredith. My name is Josh Ensminger. I work in Learning and Information Technology, and I'm also chair of the University Staff Senate. Our second initiative is an expanded role of the... Wait a second. I think I'm missing something. Just a second. Sorry about that. All right, that's better, right? All right. Our second initiative is an expanded role of the Senate. This initiative began in 2012 with the creation of the Classified Advisory Development Council, and now has been further expanded to create a University Staff Senate and other action items. Here are some specific examples submitted to us in 2015. In response, we created a University Staff Senate in 2015. I'm serving as the chair of that group. I've been working closely with the other Senate chairs. We've already identified multiple opportunities for collaboration across the 3 groups. For example, this spring we'll be launching a joint process for filling committee vacancies. Additionally, the university staff will now be included in an annual survey of administrators, which previously went to unclassified staff only. We've reviewed all of the university committees that include governance representation and are working with those chairs to ensure equitable representation across the groups. When the renovation of Harvey Hall is complete, we'll have a joint space for all three senates. Additionally, administrative support is now shared across all three senates. I'd like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the Chancellor's Office, Linda Barufka, the University Staff Senate, Senate of Academic Staff, and the Faculty Senate. Please stand and be recognized. All right, next we'll be discussing initiatives aligned with professional development. Our third initiative is about creating a tuition reimbursement pool. This is one that began based on feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, we formed a committee and charged them to make recommendations regarding campus-wide tuition reimbursement guidelines, using the comments from the 2015 engagement session as a resource. I'm serving as the university staff representative on this committee. Some of the other committee members are pictured on the screen. Our recommendations are due February 1st, 2016. I would like to thank all the people who have made this initiative possible, including the Strategic Planning Group and the Tuition Reimbursement Committee. Please stand and be recognized. All right, our fourth initiative is develop a cohort experience for university staff and academic staff. This is one that began based on feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, we have charged two groups to develop a proposal for a cohort experience: the University Staff's Senate Professional Development Committee and the Senate of Academic Staff. If you have suggestions that you think the group should consider, I invite you to reach out to the chairs of these committees. Julie Zach for the university staff and Bob Butterfield for the academic staff. Their recommendations are due May 1st, 2016. I'd like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the University Staff Senate Professional Development Committee, Senate of Academic Staff, and the Strategic Planning Group. Please stand and be recognized. Our fifth initiative is a leadership development program. This is one that began based on the feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, we have allocated over $7,000 to create an on-campus leadership development program that will begin in 2016. Some of the participants in the program are shown on the screen. I would like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the Human Resources Office and faculty and staff accepted into this program. Please stand and be recognized. Sixth initiative is the Chancellor's Fund for Teaching Excellence. This is one that began based on feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, the Chancellor's Fund for Teaching Excellence has been established. From this fund, and money set aside by the Chancellor, we have approximately $110,000 to allocate over a 2-year period. In year 1, we'll allocate $10,000 to develop online educational training modules for faculty and academic instructional staff, particularly new faculty and staff. The topics of the modules will be based on faculty surveys of areas with the greatest need. Some elements of this program will not be fully in place until next year. We will allocate $32,000 for a faculty professional development grant program. Awards will range from $2,000 to $6,000 and will be used for startup funds, buying course reassignment, professional development, or for other activities that enhance student success. Some elements of this program will not be fully in place until next year. We will allocate $13,000 to provide additional funding for traditional professional improvement grants through research services. This covered part of the $20,000 reduction from the system as part of the budget cuts. I would like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the Provost Council, Foundation Office, Research Services, Chancellor's Office, and Provost's Office. Please stand and be recognized. Next, I'll turn it over to Kim Shield.
I don't play guitar. I play the remote. Trust me, you wouldn't want to hear me play guitar. So my first topic will be research initiatives. Our 7th initiative is setting a vision for research. This is one that began based on feedback in 2013. Here are some examples of specific comments submitted to us in 2015. Imagine me playing guitar and music here. In response, we've charged the Research Services Steering Committee to review the various activities and proposals associated with growing research and scholarly activities and identify opportunities for coordination and streamlining. If you have ideas or suggestions that you'd like the group to consider, we invite you to contact Elizabeth Buchanan or Steve Knoll. They will be submitting their recommendations by April 1st. Much work has already been done in this area, and you see just 2 examples on the screen. One is a report on linking scholarly activities to a polytechnic university, and the other is a report on perceptions of the research culture at UW-Stout. Both can be found on the information portal. I would like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the Research Services Steering Committee, the Strategic Planning Group, the Research Services Office, the authors of the Perceptions of Research Culture Report, and the Applied Research Institution Implementation Team. Please stand and be recognized. That's awesome. This is my favorite one of these ever. Our 8th initiative is reassign time and summer contracts for research. This is the one that began based on feedback in 2013. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, we allocated $14,000 so far this year for an automatic reassigned time program for PIs, primary investigators, on grants over $100,000. We also allocated $35,000 this year to a research fellows program and $40,000 for a pilot program to provide faculty with summer contracts to write and submit grants aligned with the Focus 2020 goal. Our first team for this pilot program received funding this last year and was successful in receiving a $450,000 grant. I'd like to thank all the people who made this initiative possible, including the Strategic Planning Group, the Reassigned Time Committee, faculty receiving summer contracts, the Provost's Office, the 2015-16 Research Fellows, the Automatic Reassigned Time recipients, and Research Services. Please stand to be recognized. Our ninth initiative is the Undergraduate Research and Discovery Grant. This is one that began based on feedback in 2014. Here's some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, a survey was developed and administered to collect information from faculty about their involvement in engaging first and second year undergraduate students in research. This information has been used to create social network maps. You see an example of one of these maps on the screen. Additionally, the Council for Undergraduate Research visited campus and provided recommendations for how to improve opportunities for undergraduate research. That report is now being reviewed. Also, a faculty workshop was held to launch the 2015-16 Community of Practice Group. John Wilson, the originator of the Research Skills Development Framework, facilitated a symposium with this Community of Practice group. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Kerr consultant, the participants in the Kerr consultant visit, the social network map authors, Research Skills Development Community of Practice, the Applied Research Center, the Kerr Report reviewers, and Research Services. Please stand and be recognized. Compensation. Our next group of initiatives are about compensation. Our 10th initiative is faculty compensation. This is one that began based on the feedback in 2011. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, the Chancellor has committed to using dollars that we are receiving from UW system to address concerns with faculty salaries. The dollars are being given to us because UW system withheld more revenue than was needed to cover veterans' remissions, and that excess revenue is now being transferred to the campuses. Some of the dollars will be used to cover faculty promotions, and some will be used for a supplemental compensation program for faculty. Personnel Policies Committee recommended a distribution plan for the dollars allocated to faculty supplemental compensation. I serve as the chair of that committee. The Faculty Senate subsequently passed a resolution based on this recommendation. The Chancellor is currently reviewing these recommendations, and next steps will be decided shortly. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Personnel Policies Committee, the PPC Subcommittee, the Faculty Senate, and Chancellor's Office. Please stand to be recognized. You all didn't know a remote could play like that, did you? Our 11th initiative is an external market study. This is one that began based on the feedback in 2013. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. One of our goals is to have appropriate market comparison data for all faculty and staff at UW-Stout. Relevant comparison data exists for faculty and instructional academic staff, but is more difficult to find for non-teaching staff. In response to your feedback, last year we hired an external firm called MRA to help us identify appropriate market comparison data for staff for whom we don't have such data. The first phase of the study was completed last year and focused on the university staff. Market comparison data was identified for all but a handful of those positions. This year we are implementing phase 2 of the study, which is focused on professional academic staff. By the end of phase 2, we hope to have appropriate market comparison data for nearly all faculty and staff on campus. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Human Resources Office, Strategic Planning Group, and the Park Office. Please stand to be recognized. Our 12th initiative is a compensation philosophy. This is one that began based on feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, the Strategic Planning Group is currently working on a compensation philosophy to be used to inform future decisions about compensation adjustments. We will not be allocating dollars to this initiative at this time, but it will be used as a guide in the future when funding may be available. The philosophy is likely to include a combination of merit, market, and equity criteria. A small group is currently working on a proposal that will be shared with the Strategic Planning Group in the spring semester. If you have feedback that you would like the small group to consider, we invite you to contact the chairs of the 3 senates. I'd like to thank the Strategic Planning Group and the SPG Small Group for making this initiative possible. Please stand to be recognized. And now I'll turn it over to Jennifer Lee.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Lee, and I serve as the Associate Director here in the Student Center. I'm also a member of the Senate of Academic Staff, of which I represent that group on the Diversity Leadership Team. 100 years ago, I was a lead trumpet player, but if you can play trumpet and read these slides, see Meredith after the show. She'll take you up on that, I bet. All right, today we're going to share some initiatives related to diversity. Our 13th initiative is in the Infusing Diversity into the Curriculum program. This is one that was based on feedback in 2011. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, An Infusing Diversity Across the Curriculum project was initiated in the fall of 2011, and a new cohort has been implemented each year since then. A cohort of faculty members participate in a workshop, then develop strategies to infuse diversity into specific courses and implement those strategies, and then assess their effectiveness. A new cohort is starting now in January 2016. We are piloting a new process to merge the efforts of the group with the group responsible for implementing the Intercultural Development Inventory, or IDI. Members of the new cohort will participate in IDI activities. We'd like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Nakatani Teaching and Learning Center, the Infusing Diversity Across the Curriculum participants, and the Diversity Leadership Team. Please stand and be recognized. Our 14th initiative is the follow-up activities from across the campus climate survey. This is one that began based on feedback in 2012. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. One of the recommendations from the survey was to charge a task force to identify individuals or points of contact to address a broad range of employee-related concerns. In response, we have allocated over $19,000 to partner with Empathia Life Matters for a third-party employee assistance program for employees and members of their household. Life Matters counselors are available at all times to provide assistance for a wide range of issues. Examples include depression, family or job concerns, alcohol or drug abuse questions, health and wellness, and legal matters or financial questions. The program's counseling services are available at no cost to employees and members of their household. Information and resources are also available through the comprehensive website. Please visit the HR website for more information. And additional communication about this will be forwarded to you in the coming weeks. Another recommendation was to continue the work that has been started on the Intercultural Development Inventory. Cumulatively, my goodness, can you imagine if I was trying to play trumpet? Hundreds of faculty and staff and hundreds of students have participated in these activities. We have partnered with a consultant, Phyllis Braxton, to implement this initiative. You have some examples on the screen of activities that have occurred this fall or will be occurring this spring associated with this initiative. The evaluation results have been uniformly positive. In the November session, 100% of the respondents indicated that the workshop either met or exceeded their expectations. The evaluation comments indicated that Phyllis was knowledgeable, personable, has a great sense of humor, and is influential in moving the campus in the right direction. Comments also suggested that we should continue to offer the IDI at Stout. Further, the Intercultural Conflict Style Workshop that is being offered this Wednesday filled up within a few hours of opening for registration. Another recommendation from the Campus Climate Survey was to charge a task force to create a campus policy or statement defining bullying, a clear and well-publicized procedure outlining how to report instances of bullying, and plan for campus-wide education. In response, a task force was created that recommended a statement be created and included in the employee handbooks. A 6-person committee comprised of 2 representatives from each of the senates has been formed to propose the language. The diversity leadership team is also introducing the SHIFT campaign, those cards on your chair today, which you heard about, the Chancellor introduced earlier this morning. With this campaign, we hope to develop cultural competency, inspire conversations, and cultivate change. You'll be hearing more about this campaign throughout the semester. One of the offices that demonstrates the values of the SHIFT campaign is our own Multicultural Student Services office. I am pleased to share with you that this office has been selected to receive the 2016 Board of Regents Diversity Award in the institutional category. Congratulations to the Multicultural Student. like to thank all of the groups that made this initiative possible, including the IDI Framework Session attendees, the University Staff Senate, the Senate of the Academic Staff, the Faculty Senate, the Strategic Planning Group, the Diversity Leadership Team, the committee responsible for handbook updates, and the Employee Concerns Committee, as well as the Multicultural Student Services Office. Please stand and be recognized. Our 15th initiative is Student Engagement Action Items. This one began based on feedback from 2012. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. In response, the Student Jobs Program has continued on a smaller scale for the 2015-16 year. A total of $57,000 was allocated. We have also identified alternative funding sources to help cover the costs of the program. The Foundation Office has allocated $4,000, and we are allocating half of our work-study carryover for this program, which was $15,000 this year. We have also continued to expand existing programs, including Pick One and MapWorks. The Pick One program is continually growing. Fall of 2015, MapWorks data showed a continued increase in first-year students getting actively involved, with 85% self-reporting some level of involvement on campus. 62% of these students reported their involvement as being consistently involved or extremely engaged in at least one activity. In previous years, MapWorks was administered only to first-year students. Fall of 2015, a pilot was implemented to administer it to 515 second-year students. Additionally, based on MapWorks data, there were 43 in-person meetings to provide resources for successes with second-year students who had GPAs lower than 2.4. Excuse me. Additionally, a new early alert program was piloted using the MapWorks data from the departments of English, Speech, Math, Aspire, and first-year advisors. There were 245 alerts submitted for fall of 2015. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including the Dean's offices, the Strategic Planning Group, the Fall 2011 University Priority Implementation Team, English, Speech, Math, Aspire, and first-year advisors, the Student Engagement Committee, Pick One Leadership Group, the Financial Aid Office, the Foundation Office, the Provost Office, and the Park Office. And just wait, there's more. All of the students, faculty, and staff involved in the Student Jobs Program, some of which are pictured here. Please all stand and be recognized. Our last initiative is the website update. This is one that began based on the feedback in 2015. Here are some examples of specific comments you submitted to us in 2015. We are currently in the planning stages for a major update to the UW-Stout website. Additional information will be provided later in the semester. I would like to thank all of the people who made this initiative possible, including LIT, Marketing Department, and the Strategic Planning Group. Please stand and be recognized. Now I'll turn the microphone back over to Meredith for some closing comments.
So those of you who've been to this presentation before know how this last slide works. It's the most challenging and rewarding slide of the entire presentation. For this one, I encourage you all to put the sunglasses on And even the people who are standing in the back, feel free to grab a pair of sunglasses from under any of the chairs in front of you. It's rewarding because this is where we demonstrate that none of this would be possible without a lot of help from a lot of people. And we certainly had a lot of help from a lot of people. If you add up the number of people involved in all of the committees, teams, and groups that we mentioned on the previous slide, the total is 1,726, which is about the same as what we had last year. We're continuing to estimate that about 75% of all faculty and staff have had a direct role in one of these initiatives. I think that's something to be proud of, and I hope you do too. Our planning process is successful because we count on all of you to help identify what's important and to make those initiatives successful. Now, this is the most challenging slide of the presentation because, as you can see, it can be difficult to convince all of you to stand and be recognized. And in a moment, I'll be asking all of you who had a role in any of the initiatives that we mentioned or attended the engagement session to stand and be recognized. If you were here the first year that we tried this, it didn't work. We asked people to stand and be recognized. Some people stood halfway up and sat back down. Most people just sort of looked around and decided they weren't going to stand. So we've learned that each year we need to increase the amount of incentive to convince you to stand. So we've introduced things like standing after each of the initiatives, the thank you slides, the sunglasses, the party hats, noisemakers, and music. So you have no excuse not to stand and be recognized. And so if you had a role to play in the engagement sessions or in any of the action items that we have talked about today, please stand now and be recognized.